Welcome to Mindfully Integrative Podcast with your host, Dr. Damaris G. Mindfully Integrative is a podcast discussing ways toward mindfully incorporating integrative health into our lives. This podcast will have informative resources, fun topics, interviews, and discussions relatable for today with a true mindful perspective in a mind-body, holistic life approach.
Hi, how are you? This is Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, and this is Mindfully Integrative Show. Well, overall, today I'm talking about, because this is the month of May, and it is a real serious topic of mental health awareness. And it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I think it's super important for us to discuss why it's so important to not have a stigma on mental health and to talk about everyone in their life, every single person, myself included, has had and has battled with some sort of mental illness. Now, mental illness is obviously there's a continuum, so it could be a very situational, or it could be a lifelong progressive issue. And reasons why it's so important to talk about it is because it has at some point was like this big thing instead of just talking about, I have a headache, I have a backache. The problem is we didn't want to talk about mental health because we wanted it to be hidden. And it was almost like a bad thing to say, oh, I was depressed, or I have anxiousness, or I have this behavioral problem. And we don't need to feel like that anymore. It should be something where it's a normal conversation. Now, there is more to this. Obviously, there's an array of I am not a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I'm an integrative nurse practitioner, but I am one on trying to look at the big picture. And mental health is physical health, and it also has underlying causes and nutritional issues that may cause the mental illness. Now, depending upon the genetic predisposition, there could be a long-term illness, or there could be moments or situational. Now, that could be caused by many of things: gut health, overall nutrition deficiencies, inflammation, autoimmune, those factors. Now, can you help your mental health and have it managed? Yes, you can. How do I know this? Because I've done it for myself. And if I had bouts of PTSD and depression, I had to figure out how to manage the imbalances. And a lot of that was what I put into my body. And as I say to other people, it's if you eat like crap, you're going to feel like crap. If you eat high caffeinated foods, high sugared foods, you're going to probably have high anxiety and high and then lows. So what you do put into your body does have a direct correlation to how your overall body is. This has to do with the much research and much information on the gut, brain, and connection, the mind-body connection, and how there is no one pill. So serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that will help with your body for depression and anxiety and all behavioral health. There's many of neurotransmitters, but most of the neurotransmitters are but are produced also in the gut. So when you are not eating of a certain amount of foods, you're going to find that your disorders or these things and these life stressors and the grief and the anxiety or the depression are going to be amplified. But when you eat better and more of the balanced vegetables, fruits, healthier fats, lean proteins, whole grains, and you eat for your mental quality, then you're able to manage a better life. And this has to do with many factors in addition to finding underlying causes. So sometimes things of mental health illness is not always just a genetic component, and there may be mitochondrial or omega-3 deficiency or nutrient deficiency or a microbiome deficiency or excess. So there is this underlying cause, understanding the management of a cause, and then looking at what foods you're eating. Maybe you need an anti-inflammatory diet. Maybe you need a paleo diet. Maybe you need a Mediterranean. Meaning that those types of foods in those areas of consumption may be a better choice for you. And understanding that will help you manage mental illness and also just have the conversation about it. Because if you're having, let's say, alcohol, pizza, and beer with hot dogs, and you're trying to figure out why I don't feel good and you're depressed, sorry to tell you, but what you're putting in your body and you're not moving, that's probably the start. Let's start there. It's the basic stuff, then it's other things. Now, there are herbs and there are things on a natural supplement wise that you can start taking without taking medications. Now, here again, disclaimer, if you need medications for a situational or a long term, some people will need that. And that is part of the part of this equation. But also there is a complementary and managed things that can be used. And like I said, nutrition is one of the number ones. Herbs that have been used that have been helpful with mental illness and mental health is omega-3 fats, because it's really good with antidepressants, depression. So that's really, you get that in like fish, salmon. So for me, one of my number one staples is I'm always taking omega-3 in my diet, whether it's a cod liver or salmon, almost every single day. That is just part of my equation because I have a history of depression. So if I do not add that into my regimen, I can find that it will affect my mood. I have also taken 5-HTP, which is an uptake in the brain for a supplement. You can also take St. John's wort. It's an herbal to help with moderate depression or anxiety, but you also have to know that that also has some contraindications. Maca root, it's from a potato. That will also help with your overall kind of a vasodilation and increase in the serotonin and has been effective. Valerian. So valerian is a root pink flower. It's really helpful for relaxation, helps with anxiety and resetting the body. It's in a way a natural sedative. So, and it's very safe. So that, and also chamomile. Words to the wise, every remedy is, with caution and with management. But really, when you start to understand where your body is and what you're doing, you can do so much. You can change and make benefits for yourself. So, as I tell individuals, it's really looking at the overall and what you are trying to do for yourself and how to apply that. So a lot of it comes down to where you are, what you're like, maybe you need to be tested also for any sort of autoimmune infections, bacterial infections, inflammatory markers, maybe viruses, maybe toxins. It could also be an overgrowth of mold or a toxicity within the body. So there's an array of different things that could be of cause to some of the mental illness that needs to be addressed and that we need to consider. That doesn't mean that's the whole answer, but that is part of the equation. And another big part is really just realizing that mental health needs to be talked about, because if you're not moving and you're not eating better and you're not hydrating and you're not taking care of, it's still part of the whole health as our body. And we can't just discount it, because each one of us in some manner has been or has had some sort of mental health issues. That's just my little takeaway for today. If you have any questions or have any concerns or anything about that, we'll chat more and be glad to talk further.
Thank you for listening to the Mindfully Integrative Show with Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, family nurse practitioner. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not the substitute for professional medical advice, diagnose, or treat. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your healthcare routine. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed our show, please support us by leaving a mindful review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite streaming platform. Interested in being a guest or more information? Email us at info@mindfullyintegrative.com. For resources mentioned in the show, visit our website at www.mindfullyintegrative.com. You can also connect mindfully with Dr. Damaris on or social media links found on the site. May your strength and peace guide you to find a mindful way every day. Namaste.